Hi, I'm going to be walking you through how to submit a travel request form, otherwise known as a TAR. So you're going to need to submit a TAR before you submit any expenses related to your travel or an expense report. So in order to do this, you're going to log on to EchoNet, come up here to the top where it says EchoNet, scroll down to Admin Organization, then Accounting Department, and then finally the TAR, Travel Request Form. You're going to click on this link. So this is going to take you to the All Open TARs page. So let's say that you've started a TAR and you haven't completed it yet, or maybe you have completed it yet but haven't submitted it yet. All of those TARs will be listed in the queue down below, so you can go back and revisit it at any time. But I'm going to leave this alone for now. I just wanted to show you that those are options for you. The other thing I wanted to do is walk through a couple of the things you're going to need to know. So if you come up here to the top where it says TAR Travel Request Form, you come down to the ECC Travel Policy. Now, I highly recommend reading this before you submit your TAR or your first TAR or any TAR, just to make sure that you're in compliance with the company, and it gives you a little bit of guidelines of how to go about this. So once you've read the ECC travel policy, you're ready to submit a new TAR. So you're going to come to this link and click here. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is give it a name. So it's going to ask you for the itinerary name. Now, pick a name that's meaningful to you, that your supervisor can recognize and the accounting department can recognize as well. So for me, it's going to be Insights Discovery Training. So then the next is going to ask you select itinerary. So either it's going to be domestic travel that you're doing within the US only or international. For me, I know that this is going to be a domestic trip, so I'm going to click on domestic. Now, if you are traveling internationally, please have your passport available and ready on hand, because it's going to ask you for your passport details. So the next, it's going to ask me to select traveler. So for me, I'm booking this for myself. So obviously Natalie Mattern, I want to make sure that that's correct. But the other thing that I want to make sure that that's right is my supervisor, which is listed in parentheses here. So this is going to be the approver of my TAR. So I want to make sure this is correct. Now, if you're booking for another person, you can come here to the drop down and you can select the person that you are wanting to create the TAR for, but just make sure that their supervisor or person who is approving their TAR listed in a parentheses is also correct. So just something to keep in mind. Then you go down to the type of travel. So you have 3 different options: one way, round trip, or multi-city. For me, I know it's going to be pretty standard. I want to do a round trip, so I'm going to click on that. You can do multi-city. It's going to ask you for all the different cities that you want to travel. You can click on that as well, but we're going to stick with round trip for now. And then finally, admin help. So there are a few people listed here that are going to be able to help you with your travel request form. And you may want to check with your department or your supervisor for who that person actually is for your department. For us, I know Gia helps us quite a bit, so I'm going to select Gia, and then I just come down here and click the arrows, and that's just going to move her over so that she gets notified. Then, of course, before I click continue, I just want to make sure that everything looks correct, and then I select continue. Okay. So the next thing it's going to ask me is the name on my passport. Even though I'm traveling domestically, it's still going to ask this question. So I just want to make sure that that is correct. If you are traveling internationally, this is where it's going to ask you for more of your passport details, such as your passport number, expiration date, etc. Gender, it's pretty self-explanatory. I'm going to select female. ECC office location. So this is the office location that you currently are in or reside closest to. So for me, it's going to be Lakewood, Denver, Colorado. And then finally, it's going to ask me for my emergency contact information. So we're always going to require this in terms of when you're creating a TAR, just in the case that if in case of emergency, we can contact that person and we can get to them quickly. So that's always going to be required, and you want to make sure that your details are updated. Same thing with home address, that is also going to be required, so just make sure that you type in your home address. Then, of course, again, make sure everything looks correct before continuing, and then continue. Okay, so the next it's going to ask me business reason for travel. So in the dropdown, it's going to give you a few different options here. For me, I know this is going to be a training trip, so I'm going to select training. And then it's going to ask me the purpose of my travel details. So again, you want to make sure that whatever you type in this box is going to resonate with you, with your supervisor, and the accounting department. So I know for me, it's going to be Insights Discovery, annual renewal license. Okay, so that's pretty self-explanatory for them. Next, I'm going to select my origin of departure. So that's going to be where I'm departing from. So country, USA, state, it's going to be Colorado for me, city, Denver, Colorado, and then it's going to ask you for departure date. So I know that I'm leaving here in a couple days, so I'm going to select the 19th, and then it's going to ask me for a time. So up here at the top, it's going to give me some ranges from what I can choose from. So if you're feeling adventurous, if you want to take the red eye, you can choose from 12 a.m. to 9 a.m. Or it gives you a couple of different options, whether you want to travel in the morning from 6 a.m. to noon, or 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., noon to 5 p.m., you kind of get the picture. So you can select from any of these different options, and it's going to pull up a list of flights within that time frame. If you want to be more specific on the time that you want to leave, you can also select here, if you want to leave somewhere around 5 p.m., you can always select 5 p.m. and so forth. But for me, I know that I just want to give them a range. So I would like to select, I want to leave sometime in the morning, so I'm going to select 6 a.m. to noon. So destination, again, in the USA, the state, I'm traveling actually to Texas. The city, it's going to be Austin. The return date, so I'm going to select the return date that I want to come back. So it's going to be the 26th. And it's going to ask me a time. So same rule applies here. I know that I have training in the morning, so therefore I want to make sure that whatever is booked for me doesn't conflict with that. So I want to choose 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. to come back. So it's going to ask me the next question is for a rental car. If I want a rental car, I can click yes. Now in the notes, one of the things that you can do if you have a membership or preferred rental car provider, you can list that here. So let's say I have a membership with Hertz. I can click that here and then type in the member number. And if it is in alignment with the ECC policy, they will approve that and you'll go towards your membership. Same thing with the hotel. Let's say I have a membership with Marriott. I can also type in my number as well. Okay, so build to. This is where you want to make sure that the org number that you charge your travel to is correct. So I know, let's say that I know my travel is under G and A accounts. So I'm going to select G and A, but let's say that I'm not quite sure which account it falls under. In order to determine which one is correct, all I need to do is come up here to the top where it says accounting, scroll down to chart of accounts and click on the chart of accounts. Then in the current view, I'm going to select a drop down, come to G&A account, which I know that that's where it falls, and then click search. And this is going to give me a list of all the G&A accounts available and also their intended use. So let's say I can just go down and see, all right, which account is the best resource for my travel? And then I select it. All I need to do is go back. I can click the back button a couple times and it's going to take me back to my TAR. So then I click on G&A again. I've determined which one I need, which is the HR account. So I click on the G&A Human Resources, and that's going to give me the exact account, that org that I need to change to charge to. If there's a multi-billing associated with it, let's say that you also have a project that you're working on that it needs to be billed to, you can click yes and then type in any notes necessary. So as you can see, there's a sample there. But for me, that's not necessary, so I'm going to click no. The next question, it's going to ask mode of travel. So whether you're going to travel by plane, private vehicle, or other. For me, I'm going to travel by commercial plane. It's going to give you two different options, whether you want to book personally or through the corporate agency. Now, mostly we're going to request that you book through the corporate agency, and we have an agency that helps us do this. If you do book personally, you're going to need to explain and then work with your supervisor to submit the necessary documents in order to get that approved. But for now, I'm going to select corporate agency, and then of course, continental travel is the selection that you want to choose. If you want to put in any general notes, you can do that here. Any specifics on the trip that you would like to clarify to the travel agency, those can go into the general notes section. And then finally, again, just make sure that everything looks correct before selecting continue. And then finally, it's going to give you everything that you've typed in thus far. Just give it one more last glance through to make sure everything looks correct. And once you're ready and everything is correct, then you're going to hit Submit TAR. Now, what this is going to do is alert your supervisor that you have submitted, and then they will approve. You should get a notification in your email that from Econet that it has been approved, and you can move forward from there. And for submitting a TAR, that's pretty much all you need to know. Thank you.